"Stop!" The alien queen's voice cracked like broken crystal, echoing across the metal chamber. Her many eyes darted to the reflective panels lining the walls. She froze, trembling, her bioluminescent skin flickering like a dying flame. "Do I look monstrous?" The human soldier stood just a few feet away, his pulse hammering. He had been trained for battles, for fear, for horrors that could crush a man's mind, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. The alien before him, towering yet delicate, regal yet vulnerable, was afraid of her own reflection. Swallowed hard, then did the only thing that came naturally to him. He laughed, a deep, unrestrained laugh that echoed in the sterile chamber, bouncing off the steel walls. "Monstrous," he said, his voice catching in amusement. "Are you kidding me? You look amazing." The queen recoiled slightly, her limbs tensing. "Amazing?" she hissed, her voice sharp but trembling. "Don't lie to me. You've seen thousands of humans. You've seen fear and disgust, do I?" "No," said, stepping closer. His laugh faded into a gentle smile. "Not a single human would ever think that, not me. You're incredible, and weird, sure, but in the best way." The queen's many eyes narrowed. She tilted her head, strange appendages curling like question marks. "Weird?" Her voice was softer now, uncertain, almost fragile. You find my appearance amusing." "No, not funny," said, holding his hands up as if trying to soothe her fear. "Funny would be laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because it's amazing. You're alive, you're different, you're beautiful, and only you could pull this off." Her skin dimmed for a moment like a moon passing behind clouds. Then slowly she stepped toward him. "You dare speak to me this way? I am the queen of all my life. My subjects have feared me. My enemies have tried to kill me. And now a human dares to laugh at my fear." Lips curled in a softer smile. "I'm not laughing at your fear. I'm laughing because fear doesn't suit you, not one bit. You are a queen, yes, but even queens have moments of doubt. Even queens deserve to feel safe, and even a human like me can remind you of that." The queen's eyes blinked in unison, a sign of confusion in her species. She studied space closely, her tendrils brushing against her chest nervously. "You make me feel lighter," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I thought my own reflection would terrify me." His gaze softened. "It might at first, but that's what makes it human, or maybe what makes you human enough to care." There was silence, broken only by the low hum of the chamber's life support systems. The queen's body glowed faintly, a mix of anxiety and curiosity, as if words were a strange kind of medicine. She had never felt anything like this, not in 1,000 cycles of ruling, not in a single whispered court rumor, not even during battles where her life was at risk. "You see me differently," she said finally, her voice trembling. "I have been told that humans are cruel, that your kind would only ever fear or mock me. Yet you—" She paused, uncertain how to finish. Shrugged, trying to seem casual. "I guess I'm different. I don't care about the rest of the galaxy, I just see you, and right now you're scared, not strange. And that makes you kind of relatable, actually." The queen's tendrils twitched nervously. "Relatable?" she repeated, almost laughing at the word itself. "I am a queen feared by thousands, and yet you find me relatable." "I find you human," said, surprising even himself with the truth in his voice. "Not the species, not the crown, not the title, just you, and that's enough for me." For the first time in her existence, the alien queen laughed. Not the polite, calculated laugh of a ruler, but a small, honest, musical laugh that echoed off the walls. And laughed with her, the sound of humanity blending with the alien melody, shattering the tension that had bound them both. In that moment, fear faded, and somewhere deep in the queen's heart, a seed of trust, maybe even something stronger, began to grow. Outside, the galaxy waited, full of war and suspicion. But inside this quiet chamber, a human had made an alien queen feel safe. And for the first time, she wondered if being strange might not be a curse at all. The chamber's doors hissed closed behind them, sealing the alien queen and in the quiet hum of the ship's inner sanctum. But peace was a fleeting thing in the galaxy. Even here, where polished steel and strange alien machinery reflected their forms, danger lurked just beyond the walls. Stepped back, his eyes scanning the room. "You know, laughter doesn't last forever," he said, half joking, half serious. Some things out there wouldn't care if you looked like a monster or a goddess. The queen stiffened. Her glow dimmed and the tendrils around her head curled. What do you mean, human? Are you speaking of the hunters? He nodded grimly. The Void Hunters. They've been following your trail since the last system. They won't stop until they get what they want. And whatever they find, it's never pretty. The queen's many eyes widened. For the first time, fear wasn't about her reflection. It was about survival. She had faced assassins, traitors, and warships, yet the name of the Void Hunters seemed to crush her composure like a hammer on fragile crystal. They hunt queens, she whispered, her voice trembled. Why would they care for me, a ruler of? Took a slow step closer. Because they fear what you represent. You're not just a queen, you're hope, and that scares them more than any weapon. She looked at him, confusion and vulnerability mixing in the glow of her skin. Hope for what? My people, my enemies. For life, said firmly. For every being out there who deserves to live without fear. That's what you mean to them, and that's why you matter to me too. The queen studied him. Her fear, though present, began to shift, subtle, almost imperceptible. She had always ruled through awe and terror, but saw beyond titles, beyond appearances, and that was dangerous and freeing. A sudden alarm pierced the chamber, sharp and urgent. Red lights flashed, painting the walls in frantic streaks. His muscles tensed, and the queen instinctively recoiled. They're here, he said, his voice low but steady. The hunters close, maybe just outside. The queen's glow pulsed in quick bursts. Then we must prepare, but my soldiers, my fleet, they are scattered. I do not know if we can, her words faltered, broken by the raw edge of fear. Reached for her, placing a steady hand on her arm. We don't need the fleet, just you and me. For now, that's enough. Her gaze lingered on him, a mixture of disbelief and growing trust. You trust me. I trust you, said simply. I've seen what fear looks like, and I've seen courage. Right now, you're both. The queen took a shaky breath, then moved toward the chamber's control console. Then we will face them together, she said. Her voice, though still quivering, carried authority, an echo of the queen the galaxy had feared for centuries. Followed, scanning the approaching radar blips. Together, he repeated, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He wasn't a soldier in a fleet, not really. Just a human who had laughed at an alien queen's fear and found courage in return. Outside, the ship's hull shuddered as distant impacts rippled through the metal. The hunters were closing, relentless and precise. The queen's tendrils flared as she manipulated the control panel, shields and weapons humming to life. Her hands moved with practiced grace, yet noticed a subtle hesitation, an undercurrent of fear lingering beneath her calculated movements. You hesitate, he said quietly, his tone more observation than accusation. I have never faced this exact moment, she admitted. I have conquered, I have commanded, but I have never stood alone before something that threatens everything I love. Smiled gently. Then don't, you're not alone, and neither am I. The queen blinked in synchronized rhythm, an alien gesture of contemplation and acceptance. Then, with a sudden surge, she activated the ship's main defense matrix. Beams of light ignited, cutting through the darkness of space outside. Could feel the tension spike in his chest. This was no longer just about fear or laughter. This was survival, and the stakes had never been higher. As the first hunter ships breached the edge of their sensors, gripped the queen's arm, steadying her hands. Whatever happens, he said, voice firm, we face it together, you lead, I follow, or I die trying. For the first time in centuries, the alien queen allowed herself to truly feel the bond of trust, and the warmth of something closer to friendship, or perhaps something deeper with a human. She gave a slow nod. The red alarms blared. The void outside was alive with death and destruction. But inside the chamber, a human laughed at her fear, and together they prepared to fight, not as queen and soldier, but as allies bound by courage, trust, and something neither fully understood yet. And in that fleeting moment, the galaxy seemed to pause, waiting to see if fear or hope would prevail. The void outside the ship roared with fire. Hunter vessels, sleek and black, cut through the darkness like predators hunting prey. Their weapons flared in bursts of lethal light, each shot splintering the vacuum with deadly precision. gripped the railing of the command platform as the ship shuddered violently, alarms screaming over the roar of the engines. "Steady," he shouted over the noise. "Focus, you control the shields, we'll make it." The alien queen's many eyes glimmered with determination and fear. Her tendrils danced over the controls with uncanny speed, adjusting shields and rerouting energy to weapons. Yet every time a hunter beam grazed the hull, she flinched, a sharp intake of breath betraying the fear she had tried to hide. Noticed it immediately. "Hey," he said, leaning close, "look at me. You are the strongest being I've ever seen. Fear doesn't make you weak, it makes you real. Remember that." Her glow flickered, then steadied. You trust me?" she asked, almost whispering. "I trust you to keep us alive," said a half-smile breaking through the tension. "And if you fail, I'll make sure they regret it." A flash of laughter escaped him, and the sound was oddly comforting amid the chaos. The queen blinked at him, a ripple of amusement, brief, fragile but real, passing across her features. For a moment, fear melted into something else, camaraderie, trust, and a spark of hope. The hunters closed in fast. A massive shadow appeared on the radar, a capital ship bristling with weapons. Felt the weight of the moment in his chest. This wasn't just an attack, this was annihilation. The queen's voice cut sharply through the alarms. "Stay behind me." He frowned, shaking his head. "No, we face this together, always together, remember." Her glow flared bright as she hesitated, then nodded, acknowledging the bond they had formed in such a short time. They moved as one. The queen's claws danced over the controls, firing energy pulses that collided with the hunters' shields, while guided the tactical responses, predicting enemy maneuvers with an uncanny human intuition. A hunter-fighter shot through the hull's outer defenses, its weapons blazing, grabbed a nearby plasma rifle and fired. His shots connected, detonating the alien craft in a flash of blue and green fire. He looked at the queen. "See, you're not alone." She gave a brief, sharp laugh, a sound so alien yet melodic that's chest warmed. "You are reckless," she said, voice strained but amused. "And you are a genius," he replied, grinning despite the chaos. "Now focus that genius or we're done for." Time became a blur. Hunter after hunter fell to their combined efforts, but each victory came at a cost. Sparks rained from the ceiling, alarms continued their shrill cry, and the ship groaned under repeated hits. Felt the tremor of panic creeping in, but the queen's presence, her determination and skill steadied him. Suddenly, the capital hunter ship launched a massive energy beam aimed directly at their engines. Shouted, "Shields up! Divert all power to the front!" The queen's tendrils moved with unprecedented speed. I can hold it," she said, voice strained. Her glow intensified, radiating pure energy into the shields, gripped her arm, feeling the heat of her power. "I've got you," he said. "Just don't stop." The beam struck. The hull quaked violently, the lights flickered. Could see the strain in her posture, the physical effort it took to maintain the shield. His heart pounded. Fear surged in him, but not for himself, for her. "You can do this," he shouted. "You will do this." She glanced at him, eyes wide, and for a heartbeat, he saw her fear laid bare, raw, beautiful, human in its intensity. Then, with a roar that vibrated through the metal of the ship, she channeled every ounce of energy she had. The hunter beam shattered against their shields, exploding into sparks that danced like stars around them. Laughed, unable to contain it. "See, told you, you're incredible." The queen blinked at him, an alien expression of disbelief and awe mixing with her exhaustion. You make it seem possible," she said, her voice barely audible over the settling alarms. His chest heaved, "Because it is possible, and because you're not alone anymore." Outside, the hunters retreated, regrouping for another strike, but for now the ship was intact. And the queen stood together, panting, glowing, alive, and stronger for it. In that moment, amid the chaos and the sparks of destruction, a silent truth settled between them. Fear might touch anyone, even a queen, but courage, friendship, and trust, those could make even the impossible seem achievable. And in the depths of space, two beings, one human, one alien, learned that laughter, trust, and bravery could be the most powerful weapons of all. The aftermath of the first assault left the ship rattling and, Sparks fell from damaged conduits, and the air hummed with the strain of overworked systems. Leaned against the railing, his breath still coming in rapid bursts, sweat streaking his forehead. Across the chamber, the alien queen sat, tendrils curling nervously around her, her glow flickering like a fading star. "They're not gone," she said, voice low and measured. "They adapt quickly, they will not stop." Straightened, "Then neither will we." He scanned the display. Multiple hunter squadrons were converging from vectors they hadn't anticipated. "They're surrounding us now. This isn't just an attack, it's a trap." The queen's many eyes narrowed, a flash of fear crossing her luminous skin. "A trap, and we are the bait," she murmured. "I underestimated their cunning. They wish to line in one strike." Stepped closer, placing a hand on the cool metal console. "We survive because we fight together. I've seen you laugh at your fear, now it's time to laugh at theirs." She blinked at him, a gesture strange but intimate in her species. "You speak boldly for a human, yet somehow, I feel your words carry truth." The ship shuddered violently as the hunter's next volley struck, held his position, bracing against the blast. Red lights painted the chamber, sparks raining like fireflies. "We're going to need a plan, fast." The queen rose, tendrils coiling with tension. "I have one, but it is dangerous. If it fails, we may not survive." Met her gaze. "Then we make it work, we always do, together." Her glow brightened, pulsing with the intensity of her resolve. "Very well. We will use the gravitational field of the nearby star. We will lure the hunters into its orbit. Their ships cannot withstand the tidal forces, but we must guide them manually." His jaw tightened. "You mean, you and I will have to steer the ship ourselves right into a star's gravity well?" "Yes," she said simply, her voice unwavering despite the underlying fear. "It is the only chance we have to survive, and I trust you to stay with me." The words, simple yet profound, hit harder than any hunter weapon could. Trust from a queen, not fear, not loyalty, but trust. His chest ached with the weight of responsibility. "Then let's do it. Together," he said, gripping her hand, an act of solidarity, of faith, of unspoken understanding. The ship's engines roared as they navigated toward the star. The hunters pursued relentlessly, their weapons slicing through space. Each maneuver brought them closer to the sun's blistering pull, closer to the edge where survival was a thin thread. Worked the weapon's controls, targeting approaching fighters, while the queen manipulated the ship's shields and trajectory with fluid precision. A hunter fighter broke through their shields, slamming into the hull. The ship lurched violently, throwing across the deck. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he scrambled upright. "I'm fine," he shouted, ignoring the ache. "Focus, we can't fail now." The queen's glow intensified, radiating sheer determination. "Do not falter, human. I will not allow us to die here." They reached the critical point, the edge of the star's gravitational pull. The hunters followed, unrelenting. "Now," the queen commanded. She adjusted the ship's thrusters with pinpoint precision, sending them in a sharp dive that the hunters struggled to match. The star's gravity gripped the hunters' ships, twisting them, tearing them apart with brutal efficiency. One by one, the hunter vessels disintegrated, unable to resist the forces they had chased blindly. Watched, awe and fear coiling in his chest. We did it," he breathed, disbelief mixing with exhilaration. The queen turned to him, her tendrils trembling. "We survived together." Her glow softened, a warm, comforting light that wrapped around him. "You made me believe I was not alone, that even in the face of certain death, hope can prevail." Smiled, exhausted but elated. "That's what humans do. We laugh at fear, face impossible odds, and keep moving. And sometimes we make friends along the way." She blinked at him, her expression unreadable for a heartbeat. Then a soft, musical laugh escaped her lips. "Perhaps I understand laughter better now." They floated in the quiet aftermath, the wreckage of the hunters drifting behind them like stars scattered in a storm. The galaxy beyond remained vast and dangerous, but in this moment the human and the alien queen had survived. Not because of titles, not because of power, but because of trust, courage, and the simple connection of two beings facing the void together. Looked at her, voice quiet but firm. "Fear can be a friend if you let it teach you, and laughter can be stronger than any weapon." The queen's glow pulsed in agreement. Then, human, perhaps you have made me more than a queen today. You have made me human enough to feel hope. And in the silent space around them, where stars watched like distant eyes, the bond between human and queen deepened, ready to face the next darkness together. The ship floated in the quiet aftermath of battle, its hull and glowing faintly from residual energy. Outside, the void stretched endlessly, stars glimmering coldly, indifferent to the struggles of those who dared to survive. Leaned against the railing, rubbing the bruise on his shoulder from the previous clash. His mind was still racing, but it was the queen who captured his attention. Her glow dim, her tendrils curled around her like a protective shell. She was staring at the reflective surface of the observation window, her many eyes fixed on her own form. The glow flickered with uncertainty. "Do you think I look strange?" The question, simple and yet profound, struck him unexpectedly. He had faced death, chaos, and near impossible odds, but now, in the quiet, he realized the enormity of what she was asking. "Strange," he echoed softly. "You mean your appearance?" The queen nodded, her tendrils twitching nervously. "Yes, I am not like humans, I am not like anyone in the galaxy. My form, it frightens even myself sometimes. And yet, you laughed at me. Why?" Took a step closer, meeting her gaze. "Because fear doesn't always mean something is bad. Sometimes it just means it's new, unknown, or powerful. You are powerful, Queen. And yes, you're different, but that difference isn't something to fear. It's something to celebrate." She blinked in unison, a gesture of hesitation in her species. "Celebrate?" "Yes," said a gentle smile forming on his lips. "You're not ordinary, you're not meant to be, and that makes you extraordinary. And if I can laugh at your fear, it's not because I don't take it seriously, it's because I see something beyond it. I see you." For a moment, silence hung between them. The queen's glow softened, a warm, pulsating light that seemed to echo the human heartbeat she had come to trust. You make me feel less alone," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Even when the galaxy seeks to destroy me, you remind me that my existence has meaning beyond fear and duty." Nodded, feeling a lump in his throat. "That's what humans do. We find connection in chaos, hope in despair. We make the impossible feel possible, one moment at a time." Her gaze lingered on his face, and for the first time the queen allowed herself to relax. Not as a ruler, not as a figure of awe or terror, but as a being capable of vulnerability. "I have spent centuries hiding behind my form, my title, my power. I have feared my own reflection more than any enemy, and yet here you are, a human, seeing me for what I truly am." Reached out, gently placing a hand over hers. Her tendrils fluttered at the contact, hesitant but receptive. "You're not alone anymore, not while I'm here." A faint sound of laughter escaped her, soft, musical, fragile, but real. Perhaps laughter is a strength I have underestimated." "Or maybe," said, chuckling softly, "you just needed someone to remind you that it's okay to be yourself, even if yourself scares you sometimes." She tilted her head, considering the words. "You see me as I am, not as the galaxy perceives me. That is a gift. And yet," her glow dimmed slightly, a shadow passing over her expression, "even with your presence, I cannot ignore the threat still lingering in the void. The hunters will return, stronger, more relentless. How can one hope to survive when the galaxy itself seems against you?" Eyes hardened. "Because hope isn't about certainty, it's about choice. You choose to fight to survive, to protect what matters, and you're not doing it alone. You have me, and I have you. That's all the strength we need right now." For the first time, the queen felt something she had never allowed herself to feel fully. Relief mingled with trust, and beneath it, a strange sense of warmth that wasn't tied to duty or power. Humans are strange," she said softly, a hint of amusement returning. "You laugh in the face of fear, and yet you make courage seem effortless." Smiled, stepping closer. "Maybe it's not effortless. Maybe we just know it's worth trying. And sometimes laughter is the first step toward bravery." The queen regarded him, a glow spreading slowly across her form, brighter than before, warm and steady. "Then, I shall remember that," she said, almost to herself. "Even when the void seeks to claim all, I will remember to laugh, to trust, to live." Outside, the galaxy waited, dark and infinite. But inside the quiet chamber, a human had reminded an alien queen that hope, courage and laughter could exist even in the heart of fear. And for the first time in centuries, the Queen allowed herself to feel more than power. She allowed herself to feel alive. Watched her silently acknowledging the bond they had forged. Whatever storms awaited them in the void, they would face it together. Because in laughter, in trust, and in courage, they had found something stronger than fear, stronger than the hunters, stronger than any darkness in the galaxy. And in that quiet, fragile moment, the human and the Queen stood together, not as soldier and monarch, but as equals, ready to face whatever the universe would throw at them next. The ship floated through the aftermath of the battle, its hull but intact, moved cautiously along the deck, scanning the control panels for damage while keeping one eye on the alien Queen. She stood before the main observation window, her glow muted, her tendrils twitching nervously. Something weighed on her, something deeper than the scars of battle. She said, her voice quiet, almost fragile, "I feel wrong." He turned, concern tightening his chest. "Wrong? What do you mean?" She stepped closer to the window, the stars reflecting in her many eyes. "My form, it frightens me, not the hunters, not the void, but myself. I have spent lifetimes commanding armies, crushing enemies, enforcing obedience, and yet I cannot face my own reflection without doubt, without fear." His brow furrowed. "You've faced enemies that would obliterate entire worlds, and now it's your own reflection that shakes you." She nodded, the glow of her body dimming further. "Yes, it is the part of me that even my people do not see, the part that trembles, that questions, that wonders if I am enough." Stepped closer, placing a hand on her arm. His touch was gentle but grounding. Being enough isn't about being perfect or flawless or unafraid. It's about facing your fear anyway. You did that today, Queen. You fought impossible odds and survived. You didn't hide behind your title, your power, or your form. You were you. And that was more than enough. She looked at him, uncertainty warring with a flicker of hope in her gaze. "But my appearance, my form, humans might see me as monstrous. Even you laughed at me. Did you truly see me as I am, or only as an amusing anomaly?" Sighs softened. "I saw you, all of you. The fear, the strength, the doubt, the courage, everything. And I laughed, yes, but not at you. I laughed because you were real. And real is the most beautiful thing in the galaxy." Her tendrils trembled, brushing against his hand as if seeking reassurance. "Real, perhaps I have underestimated what it means to be real. I have spent centuries hiding behind power, behind expectation. Perhaps I have forgotten how to simply exist without fear of judgment." Smiled, "Then exist now. Not as a queen, not as a ruler, not as a legend, just as you. And I promise you don't have to hide anymore." A faint sound of laughter escaped her, soft, musical, and trembling. "You, humans, are strange," she said, her voice laced with amusement. "You laugh at fear and call it strength. You make courage seem effortless." "It's not effortless," said, "but it's worth it every single time." Suddenly, the ship's sensors screamed an alert. Another hunter squadron had appeared, faster and more aggressive than before. Tensed, his hand automatically moving to the controls. "They're back, and they're not waiting for us to prepare." The Queen's glow flared, her fear transforming into determination. "Then we shall face them, not as queen and soldier, but as allies, as equals. Let us show them what it means to confront fear without surrender." His heart pounded in his chest. "Exactly, let's do this together." The hunters charged, firing volleys of energy that lit up the void. The Queen manipulated the shields, rerouting power to absorb the hits, while coordinated weapon systems to strike at the advancing fleet. Sparks and flashes illuminated the ship's interior, but for the first time, noticed the Queen moving not with hesitation, but with a fluid confidence he had never seen before. "You're different," he said, watching her deftly deflect an incoming blast. "You're not afraid anymore, you're unstoppable." She blinked at him, a pulse of glow racing across her form. "I am not fearless," she admitted, "but fear no longer controls me. You have reminded me that I am not defined by appearances or by the expectations of others, but by the choices I make in the face of fear." A hunter-fighter crashed into the ship's hull, sending a tremor through the floor. Steadied himself, firing back as the Queen recalibrated the shields. "Then make the next choice count," he said, smiling despite the chaos. Her tendrils flared brightly as she activated a powerful countermeasure, a surge of energy that obliterated the enemy squadron in a brilliant explosion. Cheered, feeling the adrenaline rush of victory, but also the deeper joy of seeing her embrace her true self. The hunters' retreat left the void eerily silent, the wreckage of their vessels drifting like fallen stars. And the Queen stood together, glowing in the dim light of the ship, the bond between them stronger than ever. You have taught me something I thought impossible," the Queen said softly, her glow warm and steady. "That even in fear, even in doubt, one can be magnificent simply by being true to oneself." Grinned, exhausted but exhilarated. "And you've taught me that even the most powerful beings can need a human to remind them of who they really are." The Queen's laughter, soft and melodic, filled the chamber, a sound that was neither fear nor hesitation, but pure, unguarded life. And in that moment knew that whatever the universe threw at them next, they would face it together, stronger for the courage and trust they had found in one another. The void of space stretched before them, endless and indifferent, yet alive with tension. The final hunter fleet was approaching, larger and more formidable than any they had faced. Stood beside the alien Queen on the command platform, his hands gripping the rail as alarms blared and sensors flared red. "Ready?" he asked, voice steady despite the roar of the engines and the looming threat. The Queen's glow pulsed brightly, her tendrils unfurling in controlled rhythm. "I am ready," she said, her voice calm yet carrying the weight of resolve. "But remember, human, I am not invincible. We must rely on both strength and strategy." Smiled a wry, confident grin that masked his adrenaline-fueled heartbeat. "Then let's show them why humans never give up, and why even a queen can trust a human in battle." The hunters surged forward, black ships glinting with lethal intent. Energy blasts tore through the void, and the ship shuddered violently with each impact. The Queen manipulated the shields and engines with precision, guiding their vessel like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of survival. As she called, her voice carrying over the alarms, "The fleet is splitting. One squadron is attempting to flank us." "I see it," shouted, moving to the tactical console. "Redirect shields, fire at will, and wait for it. We're going to lure them." The Queen raised an eyebrow, tendrils flicking in question. "Into the gravitational anomaly," explained. "We've got one chance to turn this. If we time it right, their ships won't withstand the pull, and we can strike them while they struggle." The Queen's glow brightened with anticipation. "Very well, we shall act together as one." Time slowed as they executed the maneuver. The ship weaved through the void, dodging blasts and anticipating attacks. Coordinated the weapon systems, firing precise volleys that struck hunter vessels at their weak points, while the Queen channeled all available energy into shields and engines. A hunter fighter broke through the rear perimeter, slamming into the hull, staggered but steadied himself, firing back. "We're almost there. Hold your nerve." The Queen's glow flared in response, radiating pure energy that wrapped around the ship. "We will not fail," she shouted. Her tendrils danced over the controls, every motion deliberate, every decision flawless despite the chaos surrounding them. They reached the gravitational anomaly, gritted his teeth. "Now, Queen." She activated the engines at full thrust, steering the ship directly into the pull. The hunters followed, unaware of the deadly trap awaiting them. One by one, their ships were torn apart by the anomaly's force, spinning helplessly into destruction. Laughed, the sound raw and free. The Queen turned to him, startled at first, then a small, musical laugh escaped her. You dare laugh now?" she asked, disbelief mixing with joy. "I laugh because we survived," shouted, his voice filled with triumph. "Because you're incredible, and because fear doesn't own us anymore." Her tendrils quivered with emotion, her glow brighter than ever. "Perhaps, you are right, human. Perhaps courage and laughter are indeed stronger than fear and darkness." The final hunter vessels, seeing their forces destroyed, fled into the void. The threat dissipated, leaving only the quiet hum of their ship and the distant shimmer of stars. And the Queen stood together, breathing in the relief, letting the silence wrap around them like a warm embrace. "You have taught me something extraordinary," the Queen said softly, her voice trembling with sincerity. That even a ruler, even a being feared across galaxies, can find strength in laughter and in trust. Stepped closer, smiling gently. And you've taught me that even the most powerful beings can need a human to remind them what courage truly is, and that hope is worth fighting for. The Queen's tendrils brushed lightly against his arm. You have made me feel something I thought impossible, human enough to be free of doubt, and for that I am grateful beyond measure. Laughed softly, shaking his head. And I'm grateful that a human like me got to make a queen laugh. That's a first in the galaxy. Her laughter joined his, musical and light, echoing through the empty ship. They had survived not just the hunters, but the fear within themselves. They had faced the void together, embraced their doubts, and emerged stronger, not as soldier and monarch, but as allies, friends, and something closer than either dared name. Outside, the stars glimmered indifferently, but inside, two beings, human and alien queen, stood together, laughter and trust bridging the gulf between species. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unknown, but for the first time they knew that courage, friendship, and laughter could make even the impossible feel achievable. And in the quiet after the storm, realized something profound. Humans might be small, fragile, and flawed, but their capacity to laugh, to hope, and to inspire others could turn the tides of the universe itself. The alien queen looked at him, her glow warm and steady. Thank you for reminding me that being different is not a curse, but a gift, and for reminding me that I am not alone. Grinned, his heart swelling. Anytime, queen, anytime. The ship sailed onward into the stars, battered but unbroken, carrying two unlikely companions who had found in each other not just survival, but the very essence of hope. And somewhere deep in the endless void, laughter lingered, a small but unshakable proof that humanity, even in its simplest forms, could change the course of galaxies.